here. I have the podcat for moral support.
Yeah. All right, so this is Meara.
Oh, yeah, right. I'm Morgan.
And we are
Mysteriosities.
Mysteriosities.
Song right now because I'm still a little bit upset.
So this is part 2 of the Dozier School. So in this one, we are going to take a little bit of a deep dive into some actual accounts from men who went through the horrors that is the Dozier School. And Morgan is currently sitting there with the podcat, Minerva, on her lap to comfort her. And it's super cute.
I need moral support.
And she's the best for that because she loves love.
I guess this kind of works out because, like, if people don't want to hear about child abuse, they could low-key skip this episode. And they would have the first episode of history and then the third episode of it being closed down. And they could skip this episode if they didn't want to be scarred forever, like me.
Yeah, this is probably the most intense episode. The next episode will be kind of the justice portion and the White House boys getting together and starting their support group and basically rallying to claim justice for themselves and all of the other victims. So I kind of have these in order of year that they were there. It's a little chaotic because we're going to go bounce from one person to the other, but we're just going to get a taste of...
Okay. I lost the podcat.
She's gonna roam.
She reversed off of my lap. She actually didn't scratch me that badly. Every time my cats jump off my lap, they scratch.
Well, you were up with Morgan. All right, so we're gonna get started. Trigger warnings for this whole episode. Thomas Varnado will be the first boy that we talk about. So Thomas was sent to the school when he was 13 in 1934 with his 15-year-old brother for accusations that they stole a typewriter from a woman's back porch.
How the fuck did you have a typewriter on her back porch?
That's what I'm wondering. Like, why is it on your back porch?
Well, to be fair, maybe she had like a really nice back porch and it's where she did all of her writing.
Maybe.
Could be.
I think of this lady as a Karen.
Ugh, hate it. Hate it.
So Thomas ended up dead 38 days later.
Damn. 38 days later.
Yeah, once he got sent to the school. His death certificate said the cause of death was pneumonia.
No, okay. Pneumonia.
But when his nephew Glenn decided he wanted to exhume his uncle's body to bury him closer to home, the school said they had no record as to where Thomas was buried.
This, to me, kind of lends to what I was saying earlier about how people didn't pick up bodies, and then you said, well, a lot of them were like orphans and stuff. I feel like they were so used to treating people however the fuck they wanted because a lot of people probably didn't get picked up.
Right.
So that when people did get picked up, they were probably like, oh, fuck.
Yep.
We have to explain that?
So Glenn was Thomas Varnado's nephew.
Yes.
And he's the one who wanted to exhume his uncle's body, but the school's like, we don't know where he's buried. So Kimberly is the last name of the lady who started doing her investigation on the graves at Dozier and to see and find more. So he became interested in her work. I think it was in the 90s. He thinks that his uncle was buried somewhere other than where Kimberly was looking, where she found, I think she found like 51 bodies, but we'll get into that later.
Okay, so wait, so like when he died, nobody did come for his body, so he was buried on the grounds, but then later...
Right.
He wanted to get him
like
exhumed, but
investigate
he didn't know where his body was.
He heard about Kimberly's investigating, which we're going to get into the third part, kind of that investigation era.
Okay.
But he heard about that, so then he wanted to exhume his uncle's body, but
didn't know where it was.
Yeah, exactly. And he thinks that wherever she was looking and she found bodies was not where he was buried.
Okay.
But he visited the school in the 1990s when the school was still open, and the man he asked about visiting his uncle's grave took him to a different location than where she found stuff.
Okay.
Kimberly believes that there's an unknown second cemetery, and it's located on part of the land that's being sold.
Oh, I don't love that.
Yeah.
So that's how you get some poltergeist shit happening.
But Varnado actually got the sale of that portion of land put on hold by going to court and getting a temporary injunction until they find his uncle's body. So that's good.
Good.
Another victim is Owen Smith. In 1940, Owen was sent to the Florida School for Boys for wrecking a stolen car. He tried to escape shortly after arriving, but he was caught. He escaped
all those
again.
Night watchmen, probably.
Yep. Oh, shit gets crazy. Just wait. He escaped again in December that year with another boy, and on January 1st, 1941, the superintendent sent a letter to the boy's parents saying, in quotes, "So far we have not been able to get any information concerning his whereabouts."
Sketchy.
Parents of the boy replied that they were coming to Mariana to search for their son. They received a call soon after they stated this from the school saying they found his body underneath a house.
Sketchy.
Yep.
Killing people again.
School officials said that his body was so decomposed that it was difficult to determine the cause of death, but they believed it was from the cold. Owen's mom didn't believe it.
Yeah, no shit, I wouldn't either.
Another boy who was with Owen said he was last seen running across a field with guards shooting at him.
Imagine just shooting at people.
Right.
You're at
boys.
You're at a school.
Children.
Like, what? Why do you even have guns?
Right.
Like, you have no reason. There's no reason to shoot them. Like, yes, some of them have criminal records that got them there, but like, you still shouldn't have guns. These aren't like fucking death row.
Yeah, like
serial killer ward of a prison.
Right.
Like, you're not in a maximum security prison. You're at a fucking school, bro.
Yeah. So Owen Smith's family asked the school to keep his body at a local mortuary until they could pick up his remains. But when they got there, they had already buried him.
Of course they had, because they didn't want them to see what he looked like, probably.
The rector of St. Luke's Episcopal Church in town wrote to Owen's family telling them he performed the burial service, stating, "It was in the burial plot of the school that is kept nicely cleaned and cared for and will be looked after in the years to come." That's
okay, but like, wouldn't you think that a family would want to choose to where to bury their child? Like, why do they even... Like, I get it that they're orphans and, like, people who don't have families that, like, would do that themselves. But some of them do.
Right.
And actually,
like him.
Even if they didn't, I feel like they should still go to, like, a town cemetery or, like, a church cemetery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the school doesn't have a reason to have one. No one wants to be there.
Right.
Thank you.
But they said not only was this letter the only proof they had of Owen being buried in Mariana, but it was also the only proof of his death at all. His family doesn't even have a death certificate for him because there's no official record of it.
You're just going, aw.
You can hear it too.
Great.
You just hear Alex going, aw.
Great contribution back there.
Earl Wilson is another victim. So he was sent to the Florida School for Boys in 1944 at 12 years old on a larceny charge.
Someone remind me what larceny means.
I can't remember.
It's that word where I'm like, oh yeah, larceny, but I
know, I looked it up too at the time, but it's been so long.
The crime involving the unlawful taking or theft of the personal property of another person or business. That sounds like theft. I'm confused.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, but I wasn't sure. So then Earl, after he arrived at the school for boys, he died 72 days later. He was detained in a 7 by 10 foot building with 8 other boys ranging from 11 to 17. This building was known as a sweat box. It only had a bucket for a toilet and a bucket for drinking water, along with 1 set of bunk beds. Some of the boys were kept here for days or weeks on end.
Remember when they said I was quitting?
Yeah.
I quit again.
7 by 10 feet for 8 boys.
I know. I was imagining it in my head.
Yeah. The boy's death certificate stated that the autopsy showed the cause of death as head injury, blows to the head, but the doctor's autopsy conclusion was not consistent with what the boys' testimonies said that were also confined with Earl.
Okay, what did he say?
4 of the boys were convicted of murdering him and sentenced to life.
They murdered him?
Apparently. After the boys were convicted, another boy came forward and stated that Earl died when stuffing his nose with cotton for smoking.
Excuse me?
He also told Earl's family that the staff at the school, would beat them 3 or 4 times a day in that room.
They have a lot of rooms for that shit.
Yep. So that was Earl Wilson. Another victim is Johnny Lee Gaddy, and he is one of the victims that actually told his own story. He's actually still alive.
Hey, Johnny, you want to meet me in Florida? I'll bring the matches.
And he's actually one of the black boys that was there.
I'll bring the matches. I'll meet you there.
But he was sent to Dozier in 1957 for skipping school because he had a speech impediment and was being bullied mercilessly.
Oh my God.
So he was only skipping school because
he was being bullied. I had a speech impediment.
Yeah, I know. Johnny Lee Gaddy was sentenced to 6 months, but instead he was there for 5 years.
Oh my God. He literally was just skipping school because he was being bullied.
Dozier was 5 hours away from his home, and his father had passed away, and his mother was stuck at home raising 13 other kids.
Oh my God.
Yeah. He was
so
there.
13 other kids, so 14 total with him.
He was there from ages 11 to 16. He ended up looking after the younger boys when they were missing home. So he was kind of like their older brother, you know.
Well, he's used to siblings.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's true.
He knows how to do it.
When he went home, he told his brothers to avoid doing anything to be sent to Dozier. His mother didn't believe him about the severity of the abuse that he experienced. She always received nothing but good reports from the school.
Oh, yeah.
Gaddy was one of the boys who was sexually abused. He remembers a man coming to the Jackie Robinson dorm several nights a month, claiming to take one of the boys on an outing, in quotes. This was when he would take one of the boys and molest them. Gaddy believes the cottage father was aware what this man did to the boys. He usually did it just to the young boys. When Gaddy was 11, the man chose him and told him it was his turn to clean his office. The man forced Gaddy's clothes off and raped him. He told Gaddy that if he ever told anyone that he would kill him. And Gaddy eventually told his cottage father about the sexual abuse. And his cottage father accused him of lying.
Yeah, because they're all fucking in on it.
Yeah. And then, in terms of education, Gaddy stated, in quotes, I can't really read anything. I can see a word and kind of understand it, and I never could write anything down. Spell it out. So he was not given the education that was promised.
Yeah, at that point, they were just
being abused.
Yeah.
He remembers the teachers having bad attitudes, often telling black students that when they get out, they will mess up again, and they didn't need to learn anything if their only future was in prison.
Great.
And then Gaddy's daughter ended up getting her dad's records from the school, and the records said that he was only there for 9 months, when in reality it was 5 years. The records also stated...
That's just further proof that fire that burned so many of the records is sketchy.
The records also stated he was in the Glee Club, but Gaddy
Glee?
Yeah.
Fucking doubt they have a Glee Club.
But Gaddy didn't even know what that meant.
Yeah, because they didn't fucking have it. Fucking fuck out of here with that bullshit.
And then another victim was Arthur Huntley. He was sent to the school in 1959 at 12 years old. Arthur and his younger brother Richard were sent to the Dozier School when their father died. They were living in poverty and couldn't afford clothes, so they skipped school to avoid embarrassment. Their mother couldn't get them to go to school or stay out of trouble, so a truant officer convinced her to send them to the Dozier School. The truant officer made promises that the brothers would be kept together, housed, fed, and clothed, and write to her often. Well, guess what?
What?
The brothers rarely saw each other, and the teachers would write nice sentences on the blackboard for the young boys to copy into their letters home. They couldn't stray much from this because all letters were checked by teachers beforehand. And then
gotta do some secret code shit.
Right?
Gotta do some encrypted letters.
Yeah. Huntley.
First letter of every word.
Huntley stated that the letters he wrote home were full of lies about how great his life at Dozier was, when in reality, it was mostly difficult and dangerously hard work.
At that point, they're just like, do all this work and then we're going to beat you.
Right.
And then we're going to pretend that we have Glee Club. But we don't.
He also stated that staff would sometimes force him to hold down the legs of the small boys that couldn't stay still during the beating.
I quit.
That's so traumatizing.
I quit.
That he was forced to do that. He hated doing it, but he rationalized by thinking it would help them avoid more lashings. He also didn't want to get lashed himself. Alright, so now we're moving on to Jerry Cooper. Jerry Cooper was sent to the school in 1961 at 16 years old for running away from home. He said about the beatings, in quotes, "These were not spankings. These were beatings. brutal beatings. He said one night they pulled him from his bed at 2 a.m., took him to the White House, tied his feet, and started beating him with a leather strap. Cooper said he passed out during the beating because of how hard he was being hit. Another boy that was in the next room while this was happening to Cooper counted 135 lashes. Now we're moving on to Robert Straley. Robert Straley was an only child, and his mother resented him because he ruined her acting career, and his father was a truck driver that was never around. He ran away constantly because of how unpredictable and hateful his mother was. At 13, his mother refused to take him back in after another one of his runaway attempts, so they sent him to Dozier. Straley was sent to Dozier in March 1963 with a sentence of 1 year. And at first, he's one of the ones that I was kind of talking about in the beginning. At first, the place looked clean and cozy. Then hours later, he would realize that was just a show.
Yeah.
So yeah, at first...
How many more pages of this shit do I have to listen to?
2.
Oh, thank God. No offense to your research. I'm just curious.
It's a lot. It is a lot. Especially when it comes to children. He was in a dorm with several boys who were planning to run away from the school. That night, even though he wasn't involved, they all were pulled out of their beds and taken to the White House without even being able to put clothes on. Straley had to listen to the muffled screams in the next room. Then, when their beating was done, he would see them with blood dripping down their legs and tears streaming down their faces. He was forced onto the bloody mattress and bit down on the pillow. He counted 30 lashes before he went unconscious. He woke up in horrible pain in the shower at his dorm. Straley became one of the first men to come forward who experienced the horrors of Dozier.
Oh, and that's hard to be like...
The first.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then another boy, which this is the last tale.
Oh my God. Everybody, we're almost there. We're almost there, and then part 3 is hopefully about them getting shut down and then it mysteriously burning to the ground. Just kidding, I haven't done that yet. Wink.
Roger Kaiser came from an abusive home, and because of this, he became a ward of the state of Florida. He spent 7 years in 2 different orphanages where he was also abused. Mentally, physically, sexually.
Like, why and how do these people always find their way into jobs with children?
Right.
Like, why aren't we finding better people to run orphanages?
That's sad.
Also, why is orphanages such a hard word to say? But, like, seriously.
Yeah.
Like, if there ever needs to be, like, some background checks and, like, some oversight to, like, watch what the fuck is going on, it should be in places like this. It should be in orphanages and schools. And 2022, fucking foster homes and stuff, like, group homes and stuff, like, that shit happens.
Still an issue.
And what's the oversight? There fucking isn't enough, so... Some fucking bullshit is what it is.
So Roger Kaiser, he kept running away, so he ended up in juvenile court where they sentenced him to the Dozier School. Kaiser arrived at Dozier in 1959 at 12 years old. While at the school, he was sent to receive a psychological counseling from a man called Dr. Curry. This man was not a doctor or a licensed psychologist.
Of course not.
All of the other boys warned him about this man and how creepy he was.
Yeah, because they only hired creepy people.
Get ready for this.
No, I'm not ready for it.
He asked Kaiser about masturbation and how frequently he and the other boys did it. He also made Kaiser demonstrate how he did it. And when Kaiser obeyed out of fear, Curry would yell at him and call the boy a freak and a pervert and send him away. Kaiser stated that all of the staff played horrible mind games with them just to try to justify sending them to the White House for a beating.
Yeah, because they got fucked up people working there. Again, how?
Right? So Kaiser said that he saw one boy die in the bathtub after looking like he had been mauled by dogs.
Excuse me?
He never found out what truly happened.
Oh, God.
He also said he saw a dead boy being pulled out of a large dryer.
Oh, God, not the fucking dryer again.
Yep.
Let's, like, normalize not putting people in dryers. How about that? I don't think that's that difficult.
But about his education, Kaiser stated,
there wasn't any.
I knew nothing about the outside world, and I knew nothing about life, at least about life outside an institution.
Yeah, because they weren't teaching anything at that point.
And he actually was one of the men involved in forming the White House Boys Support Group.
Oh.
Yeah. one of the things that I wanted to stress is, like, when they had boys that would run away, the school would basically commission the nearby people around. They would, like, release it that boys were escaping so that people would try to catch the boys and not let them get away, because then they would give them money or they would give them crops or stuff like that. So that's why a lot of
was on their side.
Right. So that's why a lot of the boys were caught, and
you couldn't go knocking on a door. And be
right.
Like,
they had no help. This is weird and creepy.
Oh God.
So there was this doctor.
Oh God.
His doctor. His name
is Doctor. Well, I wasn't really sure where we were going with this. So that's funny. Ooh, gotta laugh at some things in this episode.
His name was Dr. Louis Sousa.
Okay.
He was Dozier's staff psychiatrist from the mid-50s to the mid-60s.
Okay.
He believed that all behavioral disorders were related to insufficient oxygen supply in the blood.
I thought you were about to say incest.
No.
And I was like, all of them? No, I don't think that's true.
Insufficient oxygen supply in the blood.
Okay.
He believed that if he fed more protein to the boys, it might create more red blood cells, thus carrying more oxygen in the blood.
Okay, sure.
So he also believed the best time to do this was between 11 years old and 21. So he was like, well, shit, I work at Dozier. This is the perfect place to do my study.
Okay.
So he was like, I'll just conduct my experiments here.
Okay.
Sousa created and gave out his own high-protein liquid drink made from red bone marrow. This was known as Dr. Sousa's soup to the boys that were given this concoction. This soup was prepared by Larry Hogue in a place called Pierce Hall. According to Hogue, Pierce Hall was also the place that boys were sent to solitary confinement for 30 days in small rooms, which also they think could be the area where the rape room was. But these rooms didn't have toilets or sinks. But after the soup, he would test their blood and conduct brain evaluations on them with shock therapy. So that was just kind of disturbing.
Shock therapy.
I'm like, he's like literally feeding them red bone marrow, making them drink it.
And then we're just looping in electroshock therapy, and you're like...
And conducting his experiments, his, like, basically mad scientist-y experiments. Also, like, there's videos on YouTube of, like, Johnny Lee Gaddy giving his, you know, retelling. You can find a lot of stuff on the internet about it, of people coming out and talking. I read a whole ass book about it.
Damn.
Yeah, so...
A whole ass book.
Yeah, that's where most of the information came.
What's it called?
The Dozier School for Boys, Forensics, Survivors, and a Painful Past by Elizabeth A. Murray, Ph.D.
Well, this episode has been sitting in your pocket for a while.
It's been there for a while. I just wasn't sure when we would be ready because it's so intense.
I wasn't ready.
I know, right? I don't think either of us were.
I could have gone so much longer without hearing this,
right?
Actually.
It's sad.
Would have been great for me to not know that I now have to commit arson.
All right, so this was our little bonus episode just to kind of give you guys a taste until the next Sunday when we'll finish the telling of the Dozier School. We'll get into them closing it down and some of the investigation and forensics of it. But yeah, so that was part 2. I don't want to say I hope you enjoyed it, because if you enjoyed it,
I
then...
didn't enjoy it, actually.
You might have some issues, but it's definitely interesting and important to talk about. So, you want to talk about our socials? Because you know I can't.
Follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok,
if you want,
Facebook.
If you would be interested in stickers of our podcat, let us know.
All of the cats, not just one.
Yeah, but
and shirts that say
we're gonna make
sketchy.
We're gonna make trading cards
and something about wanting to be probed by aliens. As I say every week, because that was the funniest thing I've ever said and ever will say, probably. But no less true. It was true then, it's true now. Every day it's more true. Come take over, aliens. Please. I mean, as long as you're not like the War of the Worlds alien, or like you're not trying to kill us, you just want to like take over Earth, but like we can vibe, like I'll vote for you for president. I'll vote for you for world leader, even.
She'll gladly accept some
for
probing.
Except for maybe like, I don't know, like Canadian Prime Minister. He's pretty cool. Maybe he could stay in charge, but you could take over like the rest of the world. Just as a thought. I don't know. I'm just brainstorming. That's fine. We can talk when you get here. We'll figure it out later.
You're gonna be like that lady in Independence Day where she's like, welcome, and then she's the first one to die.
Literally, yeah. Look, okay, so like I know all the movies have aliens like wanting to like kill us, but I just feel like more realistically they wouldn't. I mean, yeah, we kind of deserve it, but like I feel like
maybe that's
a
what
very
the government...
violent. It's a very violent portrayal.
Maybe that's what the government wants us to believe.
Exactly. There's no movies about them being like, "Hey, we're here to help you fix global warming, and this is how you cure cancer, and I'm gonna be the president of Earth." They don't do that in any movies. I'm gonna do that.
There you go. Write a book.
I'm gonna write a book about aliens that come and save the day. Anyway,
all right.
Okay.
So...
Yes, but also, please rate us and review us.
Yes.
We don't have a lot of reviews, and I love you all for listening. But it really helps us if you review. It helps us get more visibility on the streaming platforms if we get reviews for episodes. So just like review us again. Even if you, I actually had a dream last night that I went onto Apple Podcasts and we had 10 reviews.
Ooh.
And no, one of them said it was 2 stars, and it said these bitches aren't funny at all. and I got a good chuckle out of it in the dream. And then I woke up and I was like, damn, we don't have a 2-star review that says these bitches aren't funny at all. I'm a little upset. So feel free to review us 2 stars. These bitches aren't funny at all. And don't okay, you know what, don't do that actually, because it would be really funny. Like, it would be funny if like a bunch of people did that, because it would mean they watched the episode and got the joke, but then like people who weren't watching would be like, damn, these bitches aren't funny at all.
Right. So yeah,
do 5 stars, but then put these bitches aren't funny at all,
and then put a winky face.
I winked before Meara even said winky face. I winked. It was kind of funny. So yeah, that really helps us. That's probably the most helpful thing you could do, is review us and tell people about us. So thank you. That's it. That's all I have to say.
That's all we got for today.
This is part 2, our little tiny episode. If you made it through with me, good job. If you skipped it, you're a smarter person than all of us, because you could have avoided these mental scars.
And part 3 will be out the following Monday.
Yes, that will be back on a regularly scheduled programming. So yeah, that's it. And we are
Mysteriosities.
I kind of forgot I was supposed to say that too. So
I was waiting